And in this particular video, we're going to continue discussing our Java variables. So from the last video, we have learned how to use or how to declare our variables, and also we have learned how to use camel case notation in our Java variables. So it's specifically important to use camel case notation inside your Java programs when it comes to dealing with your Java variable names, like to have a consistency all throughout your Java program. So in here, we're going to discuss the additional concepts on variables and other data types also. Okay, so we're going to be using double, we're going to be using float, the char, and boolean, maybe byte, and other available data types that we can use inside our Java program. Now, again, if you want to declare or create variables inside a Java program, you have to declare it like this, this particular syntax. So first off, you need to define the type. So it could be a string, it could be int, it could be float, char, boolean, byte, long, and other data types available. So we can then declare the variable name. So in this case, we're using the camel case notation for our Java variable name. The first word of our variable are in lowercase, and the first letter of the second word inside our Java variable name is capitalized. Now, we assign this by using equal sign and then the value of our variable name, and it should end with semicolon. So that's how you can declare or create variables inside a Java program. So the type, it could be again string, int, double, float, and other data types available for us. And of course, you have to make sure that the value of your variable here corresponds with the type. Okay, so for example, if you want to use the boolean type, so boolean, and then the variable name, for example, is taken equals false. So the boolean type, it only saves two states. It could be true or false. Okay, so these are the two types or two values that could be stored inside our boolean variable, or the variable that has a boolean type. So for example, you can define another one is Java easy. You can assign a value to that by using the equal symbol and then the value which is true. Take note that you cannot make this capitalize the first letter of the value. It should be all in lowercase, both the false and the true value. So take note of that, and then you can try to display this into our console and then use your variable names. Is taken and is Java easy. Okay, it's Java easy. Yeah, then we can run this. There you go, we have this particular output right here, the hello world, the false value, and the true value for our this particular variable right here. Now we can also define the other types or use other types inside our Java program. Example, the char. The char stores single character. single characters. It could be, for example, such as A or A, something like that. So try to we can try to save this, or we can try to create or define our variables in or with the type char. So for example, input equals x. Okay, so we can try that. Maybe in your program you have this particular logic that if the user tries to type in x, or the character x or the letter x, then the program would terminate or something. So you can make use of this particular data type. So you can try to define another one. For example, y equals y, something like that. And then same thing with our Boolean values. We can try to display that by using, for example, the variable name, which is input. There you go. And then run our program. Okay. Now, we can also declare a variable without assigning the value first, right? So in our case so far, we're creating or declaring of our variable and assigning it with a value automatically. But we can create a variable or declare a variable without assigning a value. For example, int my number equals, or yeah, we're not declaring or we're not assigning automatically a value, so we can close this with a semicolon, and then later on at some point in our program we can change or we can assign a value to this by using the variable name and assigning it with a value of, for example, 15. Okay, and then the same thing, we can try to display this. Okay, and then the variable name my number. Okay, so run that. Okay, so we're now getting 15 right here. And take note also, maybe at some point of your program, if you assign a new value to an existing variable, it will override the previous value. So for example, we have 15 for our my number, and at some point of your program, you change it to 10. Now, of course, the value of our my number variable will change. Okay, we have that. And also, if you don't want others or maybe yourself to overwrite existing values, you can use the final keyword. So final keyword. Okay, so for example, we want to add this into our my number variable. Okay, so let's run this and try to see if we are allowed. So we have this compilation failed error right here. The variable my number might have been assigned. Okay, so we have here assigned, we have assigned here the value 15, but later on our inside our program we changed it into 10 at some point for some reason. Then it's not gonna allow us to change that value because it has this final keyword. Okay, now you can also do the same. So far we have boolean, we have char, we have int. We can also use float. Okay, my float number. So we can define that 5.99f, for example. So float stores fractional numbers. sufficient for storing 6 to 7 digital or decimal digits. Okay, so we can do that. We can also use of a double type. So my double number equals 5.0. So double numbers, those are variables that also stores fractional numbers, and it is sufficient for storing 15 digit or decimal digits. Okay, so if you need that, then you can try to use this double data type. So all this um, all these types are called primitive data types. Okay, so a primitive data type is a type that specifies the size and type of a variable values, and it has no additional methods. So example of primitive data types, we have byte, we have short, including the int, including long, float, double, we also have boolean, and we also have char. So these are our um, primitive data types inside our Java program. Now, maybe at some point in your program, you want to like convert a certain value of one primitive data type to another type. So for example, you want to discuss, or maybe you want to cast or convert int to double. So you can make use of that, or you can try that by using, for example, we have the my number here as the type is int, right? So we can try that. For example, age equals 20, and then the double age value equals, we can assign automatically the value or the variable name of our int. So basically, what we're trying to do here is to automatically casting our int age into our double age value. So basically, we're just converting it. Let's try to display this. What's the output? So let's compare the value of our age and the value of our age value variable. And then we can remove this, so that we can actually compile our program. Okay, so as you can see here, we have automatically converted our int variable 20 into double variable, which is age value. So it becomes 20.0. So it added the 0.0 at the end of our 20 value. Okay, so I think that's all there is to it, guys, in this particular video. And of course, if you have questions, as always, you can try to comment in the description box, or I mean in the comment box below. We will try to respond as soon as possible. And yeah, I think that's all there is to it, guys, and thank you for watching, and see you in the next video.